All right, y'all. Welcome to the Retired Fboi Podcast. I go by the name of Just Jay. This my boy Colt 45 in the fucking building. What's
What
good?
up? What up, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good living. It's been a while, man. We've been doing these podcasts for a while. We did some reactions and some different things. But now, of course, our lives has changed. The content has changed. And I'm a different person than I was when we used to doing that before. Both of us have had changes and stuff. Colt, let them know what you be doing, man. What you be doing?
Yeah, man. Kind of fell off the podcast game for a little bit. But now I'm just recording content, kind of similar to yourself, but I haven't been putting a lot out. But tell me about your journey, bro. Like TikTok's blowing up, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
So here's the thing. For anybody who doesn't watch my TikTok content, this is exactly what happened in my life, right? So I went through years and years of just being a bad guy, right? Cheating, anything you can mention. I think the only thing that I never did was get physical with a woman, which is like shitty to say that's the only thing that I haven't done. I guess that is like a crazy extreme, but being like everything else I checked the box though, you know what I mean, is pretty fucked up. But I went through my own like soul searching journey and pretty much just figured out a lot of accountability, I guess is the big word for everything. What it really comes down to is the things that I did in these relationships, because a lot of times I put that accountability on other people. And I think as men, we tend to do that a lot. I see a lot of young men that talk to me and, want to know my story and stuff. That can't take that accountability. Like they get cheated on or somebody does them dirty and they think about all the things that somebody else did to them. When in a lot of these situations, they were cheating or they were not doing their things that they need to do as a man to lead to what was inevitably going to happen. You know what I mean? Like if you're not holding it down at home and you're, being mentally abusive or just like not taking care of your woman, eventually she is going to jump ship. And I think even when it comes down to it, like, bro, if you get cheated on by a good woman who's held it down for a long time, there is a reason, bro. Like
Right.
She didn't just decide one day, like, you know what? I've been loyal for all this time, but today's the day. Like that doesn't happen, bro. Over time, you start to beat this woman down to where she loses love for you. And that's what happened in my situation. So I don't know, just went on this journey and, it was really for myself, and now it's been so powerful for other people. So it's kind of been a beautiful thing. But yeah, that's me.
Going back to the self-reflection, kind of putting your body or you back into your body when you were in the relationship. What would you have told yourself, and what you think you could have done different?
Man, I'll tell myself and other young men the same thing. You have to be you. So my thing was I had built up this persona of Just Jay, the music artist, right? And if y'all don't know, I did music. I travel for music. I still do music. I just don't take it as serious as I used to. Check it out on Apple Music. But like I built up this persona to where I got so confused on who Just Jay was and who Jay, the actual human being, was. To where like Just Jay talked about partying, doing all this stuff. So I started living the life that I rapped about. To such an extent, I forgot who I actually was. You know what I mean? So, and that's what happens in life. Like you build up these different things or these walls and all these traumas. Like I never trusted women, and being a rapper or listening to rap is actually like bad for your psyche if you take it too serious, right? Because rap tells you don't trust these O's. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I was on the same tip. Like, I say it now, but it's me looking back at stuff. And like in my new project that I've been working on is all about the stupid games we play. That's what I'm gonna call it. The stupid games we play, and if you listen to it, you're like, yo, this is just music. This is a fun time. And there's some heartbreak songs, there's some loving, there's all these different things. But if you really look at it on the broad spectrum of things, and as I'm getting ready to release this, it's like, yo, I built it up to be like a toxic relationship, and it's gonna have good moments, but at the same time, you see all this messed up things happening and me feeling like I don't love you and you don't love me and you did me dirty, I did you dirty. To where a lot of it, you have to look at your trauma that you had before. Like, I didn't have a great relationship with my mom, so there's a lot of dudes out there with mommy issues. You need to figure all that shit out. You need whoever you have hate for, you got to get that shit out your heart, because you will put it on people that you did not intend to put it on. And I had, some great women in my life that I put all that anger that I had towards women and this angst about, my mom and having all these stepmoms in my life who came and went, to where when I started letting shit go, it was great. But this is the one thing I'll tell everybody, anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching, if you decide to take this journey, when you start letting things go, the only crappy thing, but it's going to be the most beautiful thing when you get to that point. When you start letting things go, you're going to realize that you just got to keep going. When things start messing with you, when things come your way, when people do you dirty, it becomes a little bit easier. But I look at my accountability as well, and that's what makes it easy. Like, I put myself somewhat in this position, but you showed your cards, but I didn't read them. And that's where it comes to women a lot as well. Because a lot of times, me and you both know, we've shown our cards as a man of who we're going to be in the relationship. And you've seen the red flags and you've seen what was going to happen. But instead, you still took the journey, right? So not only as men do we need to be accountable, but as women, be accountable as well. If you don't listen to those red flags and you end up in a crappy relationship, that is also your fault as well. Not saying that if something horrible were to happen to you, that it's your fault. That's not what I'm saying. I am 100% saying that we all need to take accountability for the toxic relationships that we choose to be involved in. Because letting go is actually an easy process. We just convince ourselves that it's super hard.
No, that's fucking true, man. Mm-hmm. Going to my relationship with Victoria, yeah. I would say the main thing is just communication. A lot of times earlier in the years of our relationship, I just assumed she loved me, I loved her, yeah. So we had a connection, right? But you got to build that connection. You got to work at that connection. You got to keep going at it, And a lot of times, going back to what you mm-hmm. said, bringing your anger for something else into that yep. environment and then using it and pushing it towards that person, whether it be your best friend that yep. did you dirty or something, and now you're taking it out on her, man. That's just, you got to build and you got to yep. think within the moment. When you're having these conversations with whoever, you got to be more aware of what you're saying and how that could be impacting another person. Yeah, legitimately. Yeah. And I even think back, like, all right, so me and Colt have been cool for a long time, right? So story time. I was out here doing dirt a lot, right? So we went to a strip club, and I got Colt in trouble for sure. But even with stuff like that, like, I choose my friends better now too. So like, even though I'm single, everything that I'm doing for like the last year since I've truly went on this journey and made this change has been different. Like we were just talking before off camera. It's been a year, bro, where I haven't had no type of love. You know what I mean? Right. Not a kiss, no nothing. And I'm okay with that because I've already told myself, like, yo, I'm not going to go down that route unless this person is my girlfriend and I care about them, because I spent so much time just looking for that because I don't need that type of love anymore. You know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. a lot of it, there was nothing bad about my partners. You know what I mean? It was always me. And that's one of those things when you find your accountability, you're like, damn, like that sucks. They were awesome. You know what I mean? And like you said, like it is work. And I didn't want to do the work. Instead of doing the work, I would find ways to go get what I needed from somewhere else when it was right there in front of me the whole time. And it's sad, bro. It's super sad. But over that course of a year, like, just the change itself has been awesome. And I think the biggest thing is getting away from the stigma of men have to be a certain way. Like, we all got to be dogs. I thought that was the coolest shit when I was growing up. Like, you know what I mean?
if you were a player and this and that. And then that's why like I took all this not trust for women, and then like kind of realized that I kind of look all right, and I kind of could spit a little game, and I just used it at everybody. But we don't realize like this shit comes with a credit score, right? So even if I was out here and trying to find a good woman and women in general talk, right? So you're going to put yourself out there whether you want to or not, right? Being a man. I think men are less common to talk about their partners because we don't want other dudes, idolizing our woman.
Right.
Opposed to women are a little bit more okay with that because women usually don't mess with other dudes or with other women's dude, right? It's less common to happen. But with this whole thing, man, like everything just gets lost in translation a lot of times. Like and I get lost on my thought too. Where was I going? Bro, I'm getting old. But basically like putting that work in and getting stuck in the situations that I put myself into, for one, and then two, like you gotta build, and like I said, not have that stigma as a man to be a certain thing, right? Like it's super soft to just love your girl and post your girl and be on this shit, but everybody wants that. Like everybody talks that shit about it, but we all want that shit. Like everybody wants that power couple shit and all that. But nobody's willing to put the work in to actually do it, which is actually a crazy concept to me. But back then, like that shit didn't make sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I could want something but not put work towards it. So it's just interesting, man. And there's a lot of different ways that people can find their way. And for my women, like y'all are so loving and so forgiving, but y'all got to stop that shit. Y'all have to, because y'all enable the fuck out of us. And let's just be honest, because you guys put us on a pedestal that we don't deserve to be on 95% of the time. You know what I mean? My ex was with me for 8 years, dog, and she should have left in 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily enough, she stayed for that time because we have our 2 beautiful children. But like, them kids probably should have been somebody else's and all that stuff, because bro, like we were toxic from the jump. But like I said, it's just all about what we allow ourselves to do, and just taking accountability for that shit and not using that. I think that's the biggest thing with men right now is we get this power and we don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. Instead of being a good man, and holding it down and reciprocating that energy back, we take all that energy and then just let it feed our ego. And then we stay stupid shit like, well, I make all the money and you stay home, or all this shit, when we put women in these positions to be there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's like, so we took your power away to give us more power, but now we're talking about how you're so powerless. Like, that shit doesn't make sense, dude. It really doesn't. So.
No. So, it's been a year. Tell me what keeps you going to stay committed to the change, whatever change you have, or you think it's more of a change or more of just throwing stuff at your life different? Like you're working out now.
Yeah. So
back in the gym.
If y'all didn't know, and I still got a fat neck, I'm working on it. But your boy during that time, I gained like hella weight. I think I was like 260, 270. And then I fuck around, dropped like 50, 60 pounds. So just even with that change, like I got my body right and then I got my mind right. And yeah, it just kind of came all at once. That's why I say, like, for anybody, make sure to, keep your body straight. Watch what you eat. Be active and stuff like that, especially us men, man, because we're fucking dying left and right, really, when it comes down to it. I have so many family members, diabetes and dialysis and all these different things going on. So we got to take care of ourselves is the biggest thing. It's crazy. So there's this weird stigma that doesn't exist anymore that we put on ourselves, right? That men have to be this provider and this caregiver and we have to do everything. That's not how life works anymore, right? Like women, I've said this in a video, but I'm gonna say it again because I think it's important. And I could add more context on it because this is longer. I think women should work, like, if they want to. If you want to stay home, dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then the minute you don't want to, that's dope too. Like, we have to be able to keep our women happy, because I always thought about the saying, happy wife, happy life, right? I thought that would just be like, I don't know, I guess what I thought back then. But what I think about it now is like, yo, this woman is going to take care of you more than anybody in your life. Anybody. You know what I mean? She's going to be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, because she's going to be there all the time. Mm-hmm. You're going to lay with her. You're going to tell her things, all these different things. The happier your woman is in the life that you have made for each other, the happier your life is going to be. You know what I mean? And I never really understood that saying for that. I was just like, yeah, just keep her happy so she doesn't complain. But no, it's like, bro, you find true happiness when you're making your partner happy and you guys are a team. That's what I didn't get. I always thought it was like, yeah, just, keep her happy. I didn't understand the whole, like, you have to be a team to have a happy wife. Like, and then therefore she's going to pour more into your life to make you happy. Because a lot of men are miserable. Let's be 100% honest. Men, when you're watching this right now, there's a lot of us that are sitting there and we're just fucking miserable. We're working, we're doing all these things. We have no idea what we want to do, right? But when you find a good woman in your life and all that shit becomes less, dude, it really does. And it don't wait until you lose a good one or a couple good ones to realize how much that shit matters. So if you're watching this right now, take it from me. Don't be dumb. If it's not working out, it's not working out, and on good terms. But if you're going to find all these different ways to ruin your relationship, you really need to do some soul searching and just be fucking alone. Is really what it comes down to. Because this shit is not worth it, man. It's really not worth it. And especially there's so many families that are broken homes because we didn't get to know each other. Because we're in a hookup culture now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, shit, you and Victoria were hanging out and doing stuff for a little bit. You know what I mean? But y'all got to know each other. Like, I had heard about her, but like, I didn't know where it was going until I started hearing about her more. You know what I mean? But then it kind of like moved at a good pace, opposed to, and Colt is happily married, by the way. Victoria is his wife. But this is what happens, right? I got so used to just that quick hookup stuff. And men can attest to this, and maybe even women can attest to this, but I'm only going to speak for men because I'm a man. That hookup culture is fucking lonely as fuck. I look back at it, and when we get older and we talk about when we're in a relationship and we talk about how the other side of the fence is always greener, like, you talk about those stories like that shit was dope. It's not, bro. You was out there shooting shots, sending messages, doing all this shit in hopes that just one female will pull up. You know what I mean? And maybe you got it like that. Like, shit, I had game. There's times where I had different girl each night of the fucking week. You know what I mean? But that's nothing to even be proud of. Because at the end of the day, if I call them like, yo, I'm in some shit, we just fucking around. You know what I mean? Like, we just fucking around. This ain't serious. You know what I mean? So, and shit's just fun. You got to find people who are going to be in your life when shit's not fun. And that's when you realize who you really have. But nothing super crazy. I do want to get to these questions too. So some of y'all do send me messages in my inbox at TikTok. At first it was getting like just too crazy, right? But now we're going to switch it up. Instead of me answering them on TikTok, we are going to answer them on YouTube in these videos. So I'm going to read one off. They are 100% anonymous. By the time this is probably out, everybody who sent me a message will know that, hey, it's on YouTube. But if you watch this and you're looking at like, why didn't he answer me? I will answer it on here every time. So make sure to like and subscribe. But let's go. Let's pull up the first one. So, hey, can I get an opinion? I'm really depressed because I caught feelings from my plug. He has some too, but we haven't expressed how we feel. Yesterday we got into a huge argument and he blocked me and cut me off. So now I'm dealing with the stress of not having my meds plus losing him. He blocked me and told me to leave him alone. Is there any way to get back with him without telling him I need him and looking desperate? He blocked me because I was cussing and I did some wild shit, but I was triggered.
Ooh.
So let's there we go. Sit up for that shit. So first and foremost, if you have somebody who's considered your plug, that's not gonna end well anytime, because it's a transaction, right? And not to go too deep in my life, but at some point of time, people would have said that could have been me, right? So it's a transactional relationship. If I can get some while I'm also getting your money, I'll take that. Or some dudes will basically have it to where if you'll give me some and I give you some of what I got, and I'm first and foremost, I'm not condoning this. Kids, the DARE program, y'all all signed the paper, you liars. But like, it's a transaction first and foremost. So you've already started in a toxic relationship that has secrets, right? Because you can't tell this person's business out there in the world. That is a huge red flag from the beginning. 2, if somebody blocks you and tells you to leave them alone, just leave them alone. Let them go. Because they're not putting in the same effort that you're trying to put into. If you have somebody, whoever it is, who's like, leave me alone, fuck you, whatever the case is, fuck them. It's that simple. And I know relationships and feelings and all this stuff will get in the way, but you have to think with your head instead of your heart. And that sucks. It really does suck. But if you think with your head, you're like, yo, this wasn't kind of a big deal. This is what really was going on. And for somebody to kind of freak out for something that small, it is what it is. And then if you did some wild shit, you also have to ask yourself, like, yo, was that considered fucking crazy? Because
why
yeah.
are you getting crazy? Why are you cussing somebody? Yeah.
It's like, so and this is the same for men, so I'm not just going to put this just on women. If you are a man and you do some shit that could be considered crazy, like pulling up to old girl's fucking work, or being on some somewhat stalker shit, or being like overly aggressive, and that person stops fucking with you, it's because you think you're fucking crazy. Like, they are scared, right? For women, y'all think that dudes don't be afraid of y'all? Fuck yeah, we are, right? I'm terrified of women when it comes to interactions that are sexual, right? Because you never know what somebody could say. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different things that we both have to be afraid of for each other. So if somebody's blocking you and says that they don't rock with you anymore, just leave them alone. It's just going to be drama. It's just going to be drama one way or another. You're going to act out in ways that you don't want to act out in, and then they're probably going to do shit to get back at you. So that's why it's not even worth the time. I appreciate you reaching out, but hopefully that answers your question. Feel free to message me again if you want some clarifications on things, but I feel like that kind of answers it. It was a toxic relationship from the jump because there were secrets already there. And if you're under the influence of things, trust me, you know what I mean? I used to be a big drinker, used to fuck around with other shit. You know what I mean? Like, all that shit just makes you think not as great. You know what I mean? It puts you in bad situations that you should have never been in the first place. So, you know what I mean? Stay blessed. Don't stress about it. Keep it moving. Find somebody else. You know what I mean? Let's get to this other one. Let's see here. And I'm reading these like straight from, like, I haven't read these before. So this is like straight up. Like, this is straight up.
First reaction.
Oh, yeah. First. So, hey, dude, I have a random question. And I just found you today. So I've been trying to see if you had a post about this already or not. So please let me know. I dated this guy only to realize he wasn't ready for a relationship. So it ended. He came back a month later and begged me to give him a chance. Chance again, and how he wanted to change and work on himself with me. We ended up giving it another shot, and I told him I loved him, and he immediately did a 180 and said he can't do a relationship, and he has more to work on for himself than he thought. If that was true, why did he come begging the first time? Would guys like that realize in the moment what they lost, or would that be later down the line? I know my question isn't unique, but that feeling of betrayal got me, and any advice or explanation would help. That's actually a really well-stated question. And it leads to some other things. So first and foremost, let's try to answer the question. Colt, you got any advice on it?
I don't know, man. I feel like if he did come back and wanted to have something go down, that he's got some type of feelings. But kind of going back to our question and answer earlier was, we don't know what we want. We're guys. Yeah. We don't know what we want sometimes. Sometimes in the moment we think we want someone or something, but it just, maybe we're just going through the motions at that time instead of actually caring for that person, which we should. So if that person wants to work on themselves or back themselves away from the relationship, I think you just let them. Going back to the question previous is just you just don't want to get into a relationship without having some type of substance behind it, I guess.
And I think that was really well said. I'm going to add just a couple things. So first and foremost, things don't change the second time around. If there hasn't been a long time in between that, right? So you know how many times me and somebody have gotten back together after just messing around or whatever the case is, or having some kind of common interest in it just fizzled out. If I was that same way before, I'm going to be that same way again, unless you have been around me and you have seen some type of change over a period of time that would make sense for there to be a change. I don't know the exact number, but it takes like almost a year to form a new habit. 200 days?
No, I think it's.
Wait, do you know?
I think.
If not, we'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's like 80 days, 90 days.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 months to a year. Let's look it up. We got the technology. How long to form a new habit? So we have the actual Google stuff instead of me.
No, we got 2 minutes.
How long to form a habit? So a few weeks to a couple months, up to 3 to 6 months. So to build a new habit, a lot of it says it's going to be a longer time. So always make sure it's been substantial time for them to actually have had some type of change in their life before you let them back. And I'm going to say this probably a million times through the course of these podcasts, but we will always show our cards early. Every time. We will always show you exactly how it's going to be. He said he wasn't ready for a relationship in the beginning. So therefore, he's not going to be ready for a relationship if it's something so fast. If it's been a couple weeks and you guys jump back into it, he's not ready still. He just found out what lonely feels like. And lonely sucks. Lonely will have you going back to things that you necessarily didn't want to go back to. Especially y'all women and men both know your ex relationship. Why is it so hard to get over it? Because you become lonely and you yearn for that feeling and love from somebody again. And the last person who gave you that type of affection is your ex or somebody that you're rocking with. And it doesn't matter if you go out and get a booty call or whatever the case is. A lot of times that doesn't have the same substance in the type of love that you get from a partner that you've, put some time in with. But we will show our cards 100% of the time. So honestly, dude was a bad option for you from the jump. And hopefully you don't let him back in, because if you give us more chances, and I guess this is what another thing I'm always going to say on the podcast, don't give second chances without substantial time. If I've become a different person from when you met me first, and it's been a year, 6 months, whatever the case is, and we run into each other again, and I'm moving and operating completely different, maybe. It sucks to say that, because I wish I had a second chance, you know what I mean? But I had fucking 500 chances. And you know what I did with every one of them? Fucked up more than the other time. So the more you let us get away with, the more we're going to try to get away with. I started out with little bullshit, and then it moved on to more bullshit. Then it moved on to hanging out with girls. Then it moved on to, just getting some top. And then it moved on to just fucking around. And then it moved on to, maybe another girl. You know what I mean? So you really can't give those second chances. You have to see substantial change, because whatever I told you 5 minutes ago is going to be the same, So
it's tough, man. It's tough for me to answer some of these questions being in a relationship for so long now. So like some of these questions that are being asked, I apologize if I have a different take on it, but I think it's nice. Crazy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think like 10 years ago was the last time I had some fuckboy shit going on. Yeah. That's a minute, bro. Like the game has changed for one. But I feel like the principles of just like how you react to people and how people push each other away and play that relationship game are still there.
A lot of it. So a fuckboy 101 is always the same. I see the same game running from these little kids. You know what I mean? I say little kids like these 18, 19-year-olds. I'm not that old. You know what I mean? We just in our 30s. But we got 10 years on them. You know what I mean? But like it's the same games. I just play them better. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just play them better. So why do I have all this information? Why do I know? Because I was good as fuck at playing these games. I was great. I would have been fucking all-star team. You know what I mean? But is that great? No. Did I think it was fucking amazing back then? Fuck yeah. I thought it was dope to have all these girls that I was playing around and leading along. But it's not. It's really not. Because like I said, shit has a credit score. That shit will come back to get you. Karma is a bitch, and it will come to get you. So if you're thinking I'm full of shit, and you're like, yo, whatever, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to live life how I want to live my life. Go ahead, young man. And then talk to me in 5 years. See how your life's going. You know what I mean? Because shit's going to be lonely. We all have that one lonely-ass uncle who had hella game back in the day who's fucking single now. Right. Everybody has that dude. Mm-hmm. That's what happens if you play those games. If you don't settle down and find a partner and actually put some effort into somebody, you will be lonely as a motherfucker. And that's the worst thing in life. You know what I mean? Why is jail shitty? You eat, you're good, because you're fucking lonely. You ain't got shit to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't have the people that you love in your life anymore. All these different things. And of course, you can't go nowhere. But when you're lonely, it's almost like being in prison too. A lot of times you get depressed. You don't want to do shit. It's the same fucking feeling. You know what I mean? So, and I could talk from both sides of that fucking cell. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same feeling. A lot of emotions are exactly the same. So.
Got any more questions?
That's the only two that I got for now.
That's the only two? Okay.
So, keep on sending those questions. I answered a gang. So, hopefully, y'all got some good information from your boy. But for now on, we are going to answer them on the podcast. So, make sure to tune in. We're going to try to do them as frequently as possible, at least probably like once a week, 2 weeks. Whatever the case is, but I'll keep y'all posted on TikTok. Appreciate you guys for coming through. My boy Colt up in here giving us his 2 cents as a married, happy man, which I hope that all the men watching end up being one day. And ladies, keep your chins up. Don't worry about it. These fuck boys ain't shit. That's all I got. Deuces.
Later.